Well, hello there, mutie lovers. Welcome back to Uncanny, the mutant musings of Matt and Sis. This is the show where we discuss Marvel's Uncanny X-Men comic issue by issue from 1975's Giant Size X-Men #1 all the way to the present day. My name is Matt. I write and draw Steamroller Man, a comedy superhero comic which you can read online for free at steamrollerman.com. And this is my co-host Sis, publisher, promoter, and founder of Comex Studios Australia. You can find everything Comex at comx.net.au. That's comex.net.au. Greetings, Sis. Good to see you.
Greetings. How you doing? I'm doing well, by the way. So this was a fun issue. This is where we find out what I was talking about in a previous issue where I told you that Magneto was a baby.
Yes.
You get to find out in this issue that he was indeed a baby.
Yes. So, and I'd
love to know how that came about, but
yeah, I was kind of incredulous when you first told me about that. I was like, "What? That sounds ridiculous." But it's right there on the page in this issue, and I was quite amused when I got to that page.
Yeah, and Magneto's quite unhappy about the fact that he was a baby. He's quite mad.
Right.
He's raging.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
Probably the best thing, we'll go through the book, of course, but first I will go through who is in this one. We've got Chris Claremont as the author. We've got Dave Cockrum doing the art. We've got Sam Granger doing the inks. They didn't give the names, so I didn't quite know who Patterson's first name was, but he's the letterer. Yankus is the colours, and Archie Goodwin, get his name right, Shane, is the editor. So he's the one who sticks in all the bits and pieces that the old comics did that the new comics don't do so much. All the text boxes and so forth.
Yeah. I love this cover for this issue. I think this is actually like an homage cover to an earlier X-Men cover from the Jack Kirby Stan Lee original run.
Yeah, it is.
Where it has the original X-Men trying to fight off Magneto, but it's the same composition. But I remember this one from when I was a kid. I think this was the cover on the first issue of X-Men I ever picked up.
Cool.
As we've spoken about before, it was one of those Australian black and white reprints, but this cover is like embedded in my brain since childhood. So I was really excited to read this story again. A lot of it, felt very familiar as I was going through.
Oh, cool. Not so much for me. All new to me. All new.
All new. So all new and all different. You're saying.
And all different. Yes.
Right.
Although they don't say that anymore.
You're right. Okay.
It says uncanny. This must be getting
right.
close.
So it must be. Yeah. They must be about to rename it. Interesting. That's interesting.
I can't remember what they do. We'll go to the first page, shall we?
Yeah. Let's do it.
And my computer's working. Oh, this was funny. Okay, I'll shut up now, though. We'll wait till we get to the page where it happens again. Here are the X-Men, for some reason, trying to take this guy's hovercraft.
Yeah. Yeah, so this issue, we're now in Scotland. So previously, in the last issue we spoke about, they were in Ireland. So I guess they're taking the scenic route home to America. So they're in Scotland trying to hire or buy this guy's hovercraft.
Yeah, I'm not too sure which they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I didn't quite make out it was hiring or buying.
They're freaking out.
Hopefully they bought it. Hopefully they bought it.
Right. I think they end up just taking it, don't they?
Oh, there is a shot where. Do you want to go to the next page?
Yeah, let's do the next page.
There's a shot with him, and he's got money coming out of his pockets. So they've.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. So they paid him.
But as you see,
as
you see, once again, they're in a vehicle, and it explodes.
A crash. Lots of vehicle crashes. It's interesting. Like, as we've spoken about before, like it seems to be like a go-to thing for Chris Claremont, at least in this period, where you need a bit of action, so just smash the vehicle, whatever vehicle they happen to be in. But I mean, it's good. It really makes for like really
great.
Arresting, action-packed, and dynamic images. This double-page spread is no exception. I really like this interesting layout where it's not just like a full 2-page single image. It's got these panels across the top.
Yeah.
And then you got the big wide image along the bottom of the hovercraft exploding because of these lines of magnetic force, I guess you would call them.
Well, you don't know that at the time, but on the next panel, I believe Banshee says, no, it wasn't an explosion. It was all the metal parts started moving or something like that. So it's like, well, that's a giveaway.
Right. Yeah, total giveaway. So but, on this page, they're referring to Moira's Island.
Yeah, that's where they're
going to. There's a bit of plot explanation. The reason they're in Scotland is because Moira McTaggart has asked them to come to her island because Jamie Madrox, who is Multiple Man, has gone missing. And so she wants the X-Men to investigate. They refer to Moira's Island, which made me wonder, like, does she own the island in the same way that Nancy owned a castle? And yet she's working as a housekeeper for Charles Xavier. And
yeah, she owns an island, but she
her side
hustle is like housekeeper.
Right, so. Exactly. It makes you wonder, like, whether it was because of, like, it started with Len Wein writing the Giant Size X-Men special, and then Claremont took over. So maybe, that was where the evolution of Moira McTaggart started to happen, was like Chris Claremont was like, well, I want to do some more interesting stuff with her. I don't want her to just be a housekeeper. I think we can do some more interesting stuff. And so now you've got these layers coming in of like, oh no, she's a scientist and she's got a lab on this island and specializes in mutants and all that sort of stuff, which is definitely more interesting than a housekeeper. Even though as a housekeeper, she knew how to use a machine gun, which already makes her more interesting than most housekeepers, I would say.
Well, that's true. But yeah, I love this. I actually went back a couple of issues.
Okay.
And this explosion of the hovercraft is very similar to the explosion of which craft was it? I think it was the space shuttle. Like the way it's curving.
Oh, yeah.
And all that, it's very similar.
Yeah, very similar image.
You could almost put them over top of each other in the shape, not the whole thing, but just the way it's curving up and curving up. So I found that interesting.
I think you're absolutely right. I remember that image, and it was like when the space shuttle was landing, it was kind of like the nose was sort of breaking off and going upwards as the tail was coming down into the ground. So, and this is very similar shape and similar orientation in the panel.
Except this time we've got mutants flying everywhere. They stayed inside on the last one.
The weird thing was that, like, the X-Men didn't disguise themselves to go ask for this hovercraft, which I thought was strange. And then Banshee actually, like, hangs a hat on that story point. Like, he actually mentions, like, oh, perhaps we shouldn't have come in costume. Maybe we wouldn't have freaked this guy out if we hadn't been in costume. And it's like, well, yeah. Like,
well, and if Nightcrawler was using his image inducer, it would have made a little bit more sense as well, because he's this blue little devil dude coming up saying, we want your hovercraft.
Exactly. I wonder whether that was something that there was like a miscommunication between Chris Claremont in the script and Dave Cockrum when he did the art. Like, maybe Chris Claremont kind of didn't think to put in the script, like, they're all in plain clothes. And Dave Cockrum was just like, oh yeah, well, these are the X-Men, they're just in their regular costume. And then he because the way that Marvel comics were written at this point was the writer would give the plot to the artist first, and then the artist would draw all the pages and then give the pages back to the writer to do the actual dialogue.
Yeah.
And so maybe this was sort of Chris Claremont's way of making sense of the fact that they're in costume, and yet it seems very kind of conspicuous for them to be trying to do this in costume. And maybe that's why he put that line of dialogue. Maybe he gave that line of dialogue to Banshee to sort of answer that question, which was the first question that I kind of had when I saw that splash page, was like, why are they all in costume already?
Yeah, well, when you go to the first page, you got these two dudes down the bottom, and he's like, keep your head, just keep looking ahead.
Yeah,
don't look back.
Yeah, they're quite freaked out.
Ears and teeth.
Yep.
So, yeah, we'll go to the next page. They're all nice and wet.
Yep. So they swim to Moira's Island.
So hopefully they weren't too far off.
And there's no sign of who attacked them at this point. You would think if you were going to attack them, then the best point to follow up that attack would be when they're in the ocean or they've gotten out, like immediately as they're off guard and they're all sort of in the water. Attack them then, but it's just nothing. Like there was just tear the hovercraft apart and then they just swim to the shore. So I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting kind of strategy on Magneto's part.
Yeah, well, he's behind a door. Oh, we shouldn't ruin that. But I love here that Nightcrawler actually says another mechanical thing that we're in that crashes.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And in the next panel, you've got Banshee going, it didn't explode, it's all the metal parts came alive, but we still don't know who it was.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, like that Nightcrawler would actually like ask, like, does anybody else notice how every vehicle we're in is crashing all the time? It's a lot. It's again, it seems to be like Claremont is very self-aware of like, oh, maybe I should call these things out. Wonder if anyone else is noticing, kind of thing. And then Banshee, I wrote down that Banshee's almost like Chris Claremont's conscience, because in panel 5, he's questioning why, like what I just asked is, why would Moira give up her lab on this island to become a housekeeper?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering the same thing. And so it's another example of Claremont kind of questioning the logic of his own story. It's very curious.
It is. But
I love in panel... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe it's for the reader, because you look at this and it's like this giant mansion of a building, like a castle made of steel.
Yes.
That they're looking at is like, what? So the reader would be saying the same thing. Someone owns this and they're a housekeeper?
Yeah, exactly. This moment was very reminiscent to me of when they showed up on Krakoa in the Giant Size X-Men special. Like very similar kind of like, oh, we've just arrived on this island and here's this mysterious structure and we got to go check this out. My favorite thing on this page is in panel 4. It's probably way too small to see on our YouTube screen, but if you're looking at this issue at home, on panel 4, you see Storm dumping water out of her boot. Which I thought was very cute. Yeah, it's a really cute pose.
I noticed that too. She's got both boots off and yeah,
it's a cool little detail. I really liked that.
Yeah, that's cool. I love the whoop. Whoop.
Yeah, so they try to go towards the entrance and then Colossus is thrown back by some mysterious force on the final panel of the page. And then on the next page...
There's a force field.
they're all doing like Marcel Marceau type mime up against an invisible force field.
Yep.
And then they're ripped from the earth.
Yeah, this one,
this was very similar to Polaris. You know, again in the Krakoa.
Island.
Yeah. So similar. It's a lot of similar kind of beats. Not that it seems like repetitive, but it's just something that I noticed.
See, I didn't notice
as we were
that.
reading this one.
All I did with this question is go, hang on, I know who the villain is. How did he do that?
It's interesting that the cover's given it away.
Yeah, the cover's giving it away, so you know who it is. And I'm like, how did he do that to the ground? The ground's not magnetic. I don't understand.
I would imagine that it's just like the iron, as you said, like the iron particles in the dirt or something.
Yeah, that's all I can think of. And it's like, wow, that's a bit extreme. I mean, I don't remember his powers going that extreme until the 90s, where he started holding people by the iron in their blood.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. He's full on.
But yeah, they still don't know who it is. Now, punch a hole.
Yeah, they're hurled at the wall, and then Banshee says like the only way that we're gonna save ourselves is actually to smash through the wall before we get smashed against the wall. So
yeah, that's cool.
Which they do on the next page
with great force. I love that even Nightcrawler's trying to help.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, they smash through the wall, and then there's a door, and the door starts glowing. Glows red hot, and explodes. And again, like as you were saying, with the pulling the earth.
I was like, what?
The ground. I was like, okay, so how's Magneto doing this with his power?
Yeah. How's he making it red hot? I don't understand. What's going on?
Yeah.
Maybe it's new powers he got after he was a baby. I don't know.
So. Well, it says in the narration, in a matter of seconds, white hot a minute after that, red hot in a matter of seconds, white hot a minute after that, the metal screams and as it crystallizes and begins to crumble. So I don't know. Like I don't know how he would do this unless he's like agitating the metal atoms.
Yeah, I always had a problem with
move and move really fast and heat up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I had a problem with this in the very early X-Men where he could set up magnetic force fields. I never understood that. It's like, why is it humans can't get through these? Because he's stopping the Beast and he's stopping. I can understand Angel shooting rockets. That was awesome scene. Shooting rockets. I can imagine he stops that, but he stops the Beast and he stops Iceman. I'm like, I don't understand. Neither of those are metal. But you know, you can do what you want in comics. It's all comics physics. So it's
exactly.
So here we are, and there we get it.
What a great pose! What a wonderful full-page image of Magneto.
Yep,
that's a really nice drawing. Really great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And as a fan of Magneto, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it was last week I was wearing the Magneto was right, or the week before. Yeah,
I think you were. So yeah, not much to say about this page beyond it's really great.
Yeah.
Very nice drawing and really dramatic.
I love the explosion behind him. It looks like he's doing some energy around him, but
it's just a great image.
It's awesome.
Superb.
And then we go to another side of the island, or is this like happened just before or something? I forget.
No, I think this is like behind the lab. I think this is happening right now, but it's sort of like it's simultaneous, but it's on the other side of the lab, I think. So the Blackbird is touching down, and Cyclops is flying it. Moira's beside him in the cockpit. And then, so yeah, this is more delving more into this building, because Cyclops is actually like calling her out, saying like, "What do you kept this a secret? You know, like I've seen secrecy before, lady, but this is the first I've heard of your mutant research center."
Oh, I only noticed this name up on the secret door. Eunice.
Oh, Eunice.
Yeah,
Eunice the Untouchable. He's from the early Lee Kirby run of X-Men.
Oh, really? So she has like a bit of a prison going on as well. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, that was one thing. That was one thing I was like, is this like, it's basically like an unsanctioned prison for mutants.
For mutants. Yeah. And she's it's a laboratory, so maybe she's doing experiments on them. I don't know.
Right.
But I guess the guy watching the place is Jamie, because
Jamie Madrox.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jamie Madrox. Sorry. Yeah. I love that costume. Not in a good way though.
Yeah. It's a very Jack Kirby design with all the circles and the lines.
Yeah.
Very Kirby design. It actually says last seen in Giant Size Fantastic Four, number 4. I'm not familiar with that issue, so I don't know like whether that was Madrox's first appearance or whether he just showed up in that or what. But that could also be like the Kirby connection.
Maybe that's where
Kirby was on FF for so long.
What do you call it? Eric the Red. Maybe that's where Eric the Red got the ability to turn babies into men. I don't know. That sounds like something Reed Richards would have just lying around.
Right. Right.
My baby to adulthood gun.
Yes. So then on the next page, Madrox is explaining what happened, you know, because Moira and Cyclops have just found him knocked out, and so they wake him up and they're like, what happened? And then so this page he's explaining what happened, and this is where this stuff is bonkers. This is this is like nuts. So Eric the Red arrived to bust out Magneto, who has been turned into a baby, and then they zap him with another ray that ages him back up into an adult who, I guess, Eric the Red has Magneto's costume all ready for him.
Yeah, all ready for him.
Put on when he grows up into an adult again. So yeah, only in comics, I think, would you be able to get away with this crazy story. Kind of nuts.
Yeah, and what you find out later is that Magneto's not brought back to his full old age that he is before all this happened. He's a younger age. His hair was always white, so it's not that he's got grey hair because he's old. He's interesting. That's how they try to explain why he's been alive so damn long.
Right.
When he was a baby, he came back as a young adult.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like the Holocaust survivor element to Magneto's backstory, it does sort of make it problematic, because that really, that ties him to a particular time period in that, well, if he was 12 or 13 in the in World War II, basically late 1930s, early 1940s, then he's got to be so old now, like in modern day.
Yeah. But he's
it does make it
back a couple of times.
Strange.
So he's brought back a couple of times, so maybe that's how he keeps getting
True.
younger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, every so often they do these like retcons and then reboots, and he has been killed off and then brought back to life, and then especially in like recent issues of the modern X-Men comics
Yeah.
where they did the whole Krakoa storyline where they were sort of bringing all the X-Men and all the mutants could be brought back to life and resurrected because of Krakoa. They had these
Weird
special
things going on.
mutant rebirth pods or something. I don't
They
know. I can't
explain that
even.
in one issue I read. They explain that
Oh,
there's
yeah.
like 4 mutants involved, and they combine their powers to make those pods.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's a bit of a stretch, but okay.
I thought it was very clever in terms
clever,
of
but
like
a bit of a
if you're gonna come up with some sort of reason like that, then yeah, it kind of I liked how a combination of the powers resulted in, hey, we've worked out that if the 4 of us work together, then we can actually bring people back to life. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That I did love that though, because it brought back a lot of mutants that I loved who'd been killed off.
Right, yeah.
But then it just got a bit extreme after that. It's like, there's too many.
That's true.
Why aren't they just like plowing through things? There'd be so many of them now.
Well, we're not supposed to talk about modern X-Men comics. We can't talk about that for another 15 years.
Yeah, it'll be another 15 or so years before we get to that one.
Yeah, exactly. So for now, let's just go to the next page where, this gets pretty cool. This is where the X-Men confront Magneto and the fight begins. And so this is basically like a lot of characters just getting tossed around and slammed into walls, and it's really cool. Like, I really like this issue, especially now, like in this part where Magneto's finally shown up and the action really kicks in. It's great.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, this is where we find out adamantium is magnetic. Affected by magnetism.
Right.
Because he throws Wolverine across the room by his claws.
Yeah, he's also... Yeah, Wolverine and Colossus present no obstacle to Magneto, of course, because they're both heavily metallicized, I guess you'd say.
Are they? There's no mention that he's been thrown across the room by his bones. So was it ever a thing that he was covered in adamantium, his bones back then? I thought it was.
No,
when he was...
I think it's just his claws at this stage. I think that because he's saying like, "Oh, my claws, they're pulling me into the wall."
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought.
Magneto using the magnetism on the claws.
Yeah. So I always found that fascinating when I read this. It's like, I thought that, already said that he had adamantium on his bones, but I guess they hadn't, or Chris Claremont hadn't been told that because that was in the Hulk.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. Not sure.
Put it in the comics, comics. Put it in the comments, people. Let us know. Did he have adamantium when he was up against the Hulk in Hulk 181? I think it is.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong about that issue number as well.
No, it was 181. You're correct.
Oh, okay. You hear about it a lot.
Yeah, I don't remember the adamantium thing or not.
Yeah. Because I always wondered what he had, if it was just healing power and claws that made him strong enough to go up against the Hulk. Anyway, X-Men.
X-Men. All right, so then on to the next page, I guess.
Yep. Where poor Storm cops it. I'm not sure what she gets. Oh, that's right. He throws the lightning back at her.
Yeah, Magneto. He counteracts Storm's lightning with an interference field.
Oh, is that what they say? Oh,
yeah, he says. Yeah, Storm says Magneto's set up an interference field. He's hurling my lightning bolts back at me. So I guess, electricity and magnetism are somewhat
very closely related.
So I guess somehow
that one
he
makes
can use
sense.
The powers of magnetism. Right.
That one makes sense. Yeah. Electricity is affected by magnetism.
Yeah. And then Colossus is still valiantly trying everything he can to somehow penetrate Magneto's defenses. But unfortunately, like, if he's going to just be picking up pieces of metal and throwing them at him, he's not going to have much success.
He didn't read that memo about Magneto, so...
Right. But it makes for a great page. Like, I
It
love this
does.
page.
It's
Lots of
awesome.
action. Love the sound effects. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I love the way he squashes that beam up like it's nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty
Really
cool.
cool. I love it. And then on the next page,
Yeah, he finds out
Colossus
the hard way.
is thrown out of the lab and into the ocean.
Quite a far away by the looks of that image as well.
Yeah, so Colossus will be out of action for a while, it seems. And so Nightcrawler steps up to sort of take his shot at
This is really
Magneto.
interesting. I love this, the way he handles it.
Yeah, it's cool that so he's using his teleportation ability, but then this is where it says the interesting thing about this issue to me was it really kind of had so many ways that Magneto used his powers, like so many different ways, like so he can manipulate the metal and move it around, but he also can set up interference, like magnetic force fields, and then interference fields to repel Storm's electricity. And then here it says like he can sense disruptions along the magnetic lines of force, which is very interesting. So that's in that way he can sense where Kurt is going to materialize before he even appears, and so then he just sends lots of metallic debris over to that spot, so that when Kirk teleports over there, he's basically teleporting under a hailstorm of metal. So it really sort of I like the way this is written because it's kind of like the X-Men try one attack and then Magneto has a counter for that attack. So then they try a different attack, or a different character tries an attack with their powers, but then Magneto has a different counter for that attack. And so I just really like the creativity in this issue because of that. Like, it was really entertaining to read, like, oh, he's still got him on the ropes, even though like they're trying everything they can to try and make a dent, and they're just not. They just can't get him.
I get the impression that they're showing what an absolute force of nature Magneto is to the new reader. Ones who might be coming on the new Chris Claremont run. So they're just showing this guy, he's the stuff. He's going to take out the entire X-Men.
And it is kind of establishing... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I like the next page because you find out there's one thing he couldn't counter.
Right.
Although he did counter it in a way, which is really full on. But
Banshee does the same attack that he's done on a couple of enemies so far, which is disintegrate the floor underneath them. So he does that to Magneto again, but Magneto can also use his powers to, I guess, manipulate the metal in his own costume. It says, I can create a balanced anti-gravity field around me.
Yeah, that I found that interesting because, again, in future comics, they make out his suit's metal. So that's how he flies. So this,
to me, that makes more sense.
That makes more sense than anti-gravity field. It's like, what?
Right.
Is there anything this dude can't do?
Right, exactly. The magic of magnetism. It can literally do anything.
Anything, yeah. But,
so Banshee's trying to basically hold his ground against Magneto until the rest of the X-Men can recover and regroup.
Which it's very lucky old Psyche comes back in.
Because,
right. Covers him in iron. What is it? He covers him in ferrous particles.
Right.
Like, oh my god.
So this is yet another example of he's using his powers in another different way.
Yeah.
To counteract Banshee. So it's just like one thing after another, and I think this is one of the reasons why I really began to like Magneto, because this issue is establishing him as like, oh, he's one of their number one villains. Like is giving them such a challenge that they just can't do anything to hurt him or even to break through his defenses. Like he's just on top of them no matter what. And it's just so many clever ways of using his powers. And then, as you said, Cyclops comes in out of nowhere and shoots his eye beams at him. But then Magneto also says, like, I barely got my shields up. So he's also got magnetic shields that can deflect Cyclops's eye beams.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about before. Cyclops, his eye beams are supposed to be just like kinetic force.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works with Magneto's.
But there's a scene where he's heating something up. So it's like, what is his powers? Will they make up their mind?
Right. Yeah, I wrote something about that. Cyclops arrives. Magneto uses a magnetic force shield to counteract the eye beam. I was wondering how the magnetism counteracts this, given that his beam is concussive energy and not light.
Not light. Although it's red, maybe just stop the red part. I don't know.
Who knows?
So
now the weird thing is, at the bottom of this page, he's got him on. Cyclops actually has Magneto on the ropes. He's the one member of the X-Men who was able to do anything to even threaten Magneto. And then Cyclops just stops. He's like, oh, hang on. Something else is happening over here. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, shouldn't you keep him on the ropes? Until the rest of the X-Men can wake up and
swim back. And
very strange.
What is he? I forget what he's looking at. Oh no, he's like talking to himself.
He's like, oh, I got to stop. Like, I got to go check on the X-Men. So he says, like, oh, Magneto is stunned.
Oh,
for all the good that does me. I'm hitting him full strength, but I'm not getting through his shields. There's not much time left. He's already starting to gather his wits, pull himself together, which to me was like, well, that's the one time you don't want to get distracted and let him go if he's starting to recover. But that's exactly what Cyclops does. He's like, oh, now would be a good time to check on my friends, which he does.
I bet you that he does. He runs over and helps them, which is probably good timing for poor old Banshee, who couldn't breathe.
Oh, yeah. I guess it probably was slightly urgent to go and help Banshee.
If he knew that, though. If he
right.
knew that. But yeah, it's he saves them all, and it's like, where'd Magneto go?
Yeah.
He's just gone, yes, I defeated them. I got them all down. Okay, time to go. I've done my bit.
Right. And then the interesting thing is, all the other X-Men, when he wakes them up, they all question his decision. They're like, what are you doing? Like, you had him on the ropes and then you just let him go. Why? What are you doing? Especially Wolverine.
Wolverine,
of course. And then even Storm is like, why aren't we attacking Magneto? What's going on?
And we got a little preview of the Bug Girl from back in the Giant Size 1. Come on, Shane, you can do it. Oh, no, sorry, the one after Giant Size, sorry.
Right. Yeah, last scene says X-Men 96. So she was one of Count Nefaria's hench people.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, okay, so she is now a prisoner on Moira's Island, which suggests that, like, as we were talking about before, that Moira's lab is actually an unsanctioned private prison, because to my knowledge, Dragonfly wasn't a mutant.
No, she's not.
Should she even really be at this lab? So
Well,
it's
she
like,
escaped.
oh no, we just imprison anyone here. It's
Yeah,
fine.
just anyone who's against the X-Men, we whack them in here.
Come one, come all.
Yeah, we'll get Magneto and put him back in here as well as a baby or
Yeah.
something.
And I
Oh,
thought
he
that
comes through finally, that's right.
Wolverine's reaction to this, to seeing like the dragonfly's picture as they're walking past this cell, I thought his reaction was sort of amusingly low key.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, looks like that bug-eyed lady's busted loose. Oh well.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's pretty much.
That's
It's not like,
that's
hang
for
on,
another
what's she doing
time.
here?
Yeah. Bizarre.
But yeah, then they're outside. I didn't realize that the the Blackbird had a logo on the side of it. I love that.
I didn't notice that. You're right. That's hilarious. Wow.
It is, isn't it? I think this is the only time it has one.
Yeah. It's X-Men branding. That's interesting.
I found that hilarious when I saw it.
They're flying a stealth jet,
With their name
right?
written on the side.
But it's got a big X-Men thing on the side. So much for stealth.
And I found this amusing. It's like, surely Colossus, I was going to call him Cyclops, surely Colossus didn't swim back in metal form, because that would have been hard to stay afloat.
Yeah, I was thinking, at first I was like, oh, maybe he just walked along the bottom, but he can't hold his breath. So I think he would have had to have turned back into human form, then swum, then re-metalled up. Yeah.
But it's like steam's coming off him, so I don't quite understand.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, what's that all about?
That made me wonder what was going on there, unless that's just... Actually, I can't think what else that would be. Maybe when he turns to metal, it lets off a bit of heat. I don't know. But yeah, that's just me guessing. I just love the end of this one. Mutant X is about to escape whoever it is. The sealed, broken oxygen seepage. Whoever Mutant X is, which I don't remember any Mutant X, so this will be interesting to find out in the next couple of issues.
I think, well, I won't spoil it, but I think I know who Mutant X is going to be, but I won't spoil it. It's another major piece of like X-Men lore, and the whole mythology of the X-Men. So
I'm sort of guessing who it is now, but I won't say anything.
Yeah, so obviously, Claremont's doing his usual thing of like planting seeds for future plot lines. And then in this issue, in this page, I thought was really interesting because we're finally starting to get more information on the mysterious Eric the Red, which I've wanted to know, like, who is this Eric the Red guy since we started doing this show, because I'd never heard of him. And
I
so
know 2 versions of him, and this is neither.
Right. So in this page, Cyclops is explaining that Magneto, Juggernaut, Polaris, Havoc, all those attacks that have happened over the last few issues have all been orchestrated by Eric the Red. But he also says that Magneto's back stronger than ever, which makes the logic of just leaving him alone on Moira's Island, where Moira and Jamie Madrox might still be. It's not specified if they're still on the island. Doesn't that seem like, to me, that seems crazy? It's like, just leave him on the island with all the technology, and it's mutant, it's technology that can obviously nullify and imprison mutants. And yet Cyclops is like, let's get out of here, guys. Never mind Magneto. And they just leave him on the island.
Yeah.
Like, that to me does not have a lot of logic to it.
No.
No.
But I mean, he's running to do something else. I forget to get back to the professor, is it?
Yeah.
We've got to stop him there. Yeah, so he's after Eric the Red. So that's his logic.
Yeah, he realizes that this is all part of one plot to not only kill the X-Men, but also to kill Professor X. So he's like, we've got to get back to Professor X, my dysfunctional father figure who tells me I can never do anything right, but I got to get back to him.
Got to get back to him with my sick relationship with him. And is there?
And then Magneto gets up at the bottom of the page, and he's like, "Yay, I win!
I win! They ran away."
And he kind of did. I mean, he kind of did win.
He did win. Magneto's triumphant.
And then, okay, so here's where we get some cool stuff. Starjammers.
Yes.
Woohoo! The Starjammers are here. I love the Starjammers.
Yes, I'm curious how long they've been a thing. So this doesn't feel like their first appearance.
I think it is. I think he is introducing them here. I mean, as far as I know, I could be wrong. Viewers and audience, please let us know if this is not the first appearance of Corsair and the Starjammers who are appearing here. But we also see more of the Shi'ar ship and
costume,
and we see Eric the Red on the final panel. So we see the spaceship from Xavier's Nightmares. Jean Grey's parents have arrived at the apartment that she's sharing with Misty Knight for what seems like a very ill-timed visit, because Eric the Red and Polaris and Havoc are, I guess, outside on a building across the street looking down into the window of the apartment. But basically they're right outside, and foreshadowing the battle to come in the next issue.
Yes, which is in a totally different location, but we won't talk about that. I think it is here, actually. Sorry.
Next issue, it says Phoenix Unleashed.
Phoenix Unleashed, and that's what it's actually called.
Yeah. So that is the end of this issue, which means that brings us to the end of this episode of Uncanny.
Yes. Oh, I've totally...
Come on, get back in the swing of things, Shane.
Get back in the swing of things. Okay, well, thank you all for watching. I haven't put the notes up. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Next week, we'll be looking at 205 of the Uncanny X-Men. 105. I don't know why I said 2. I've added a 1 to both numbers. So it's 105. Phoenix Unleashed. Tune in next week. We'll be there. Remember to like and subscribe. And subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Share the video with other X-fans. And hit that bell to get notified of our next video.
And we got to do the band name.
And band name, yes. Sorry, I am losing the absolute plot, we'll say. I'm losing the plot. So what's the band name for this one? Sorry, I went totally off. Yeah.
I'm going to give you 2 choices like I gave you last time.
Yep,
on page 4, we have the first choice, which is when Colossus mentions the Ust-Ordinsky Collective.
Ooh,
so to me, that sounded like a cool band name.
Yeah, that is a cool band name.
Yeah, Cyclops says, an attack then, perhaps another fight to the death. Life was much simpler and safer on the Ust-Ordinsky Collective. So that's where he grew up. And then the other band name was on page 9, inspired by page 9. It's not actually a direct quote, but I just have to use Magneto was a baby.
Oh, hang on. Have I got far enough? There. No, we're mixed up. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, you're almost there. Yeah, there.
And in seconds, Magneto was a grown man.
Says he was a grown man again, but I just wanted to do Magneto was a baby.
Yes, that's cool.
Oh, that sounded like a good band name.
I'm going to go with Colossus because that sounds cooler.
Yeah.
And because you called him Cyclops. That's also another reason.
I did.
You did. Oh, the curse continues.
The curse continues. One day we'll get it right. One day.
I did it wrong before as well, so it's all good.
That's crazy.
Again, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell. How do we find more of you, Mr. Schofield?
You can find my comic, Steamroller Man, at steamrollerman.com. It's all free to read, so please give it a look.
Yeah, give it a look. And you'll find me over at X-Men. X-Men. I'm losing the plot totally today. comex.net.au. That's com with an X, no I, .net.au. And you'll find out more about all the stuff I do over there. So until next week, have a good one. And see you later, Matt. See you later, everyone watching.
See you, Sis. See you, everybody. See you next week.